Leeds United are travelling to Carrow Road for a clash with Norwich City this weekend, and I think it could be a fascinating game of football for a good few reasons. And we're going to run through what the Leeds United lineup is going to look like, what we should expect from Norwich, and ultimately predictions for the match. Stick around to the end as well. First up, we got to start with the Leeds United team news, just so we know what we're working with. And Willie Gnonto returns. He is now fit. He's been training since last Sunday and should, without any knocks that have happened in today's training session, at the very least, be completely fine for the weekend ahead. That's good. At the very least, it means we've got another option off the bench. If he doesn't play off the bench, or if we've got any injuries in the first team, maybe he could even start. But we're in a good position where we don't need to rely on Willie Gnonto, and we can bring him on as an impact player rather than what it felt like we were doing at the end of last season and just putting all of our hopes into Wilfred Gnonto. We don't need to do that anymore, which is very nice. And in addition to that, we have Jamie Shackleton back. Fantastic. He's a very versatile player. Can cover right back for us, left back at a push. He's not the best there, but he'll do a job. And central midfield. It's very good to have a player that's that flexible in the squad. It's a bit Stuart Dallasy, but without the same level of quality. And it's nearly time for a return for Junior Firpo, Stuart Dallas, and Jed Spence. All of those players are between 2 and 4 weeks from coming back, according to Daniel Farke, but we can't be 100% sure. It's especially true with Stuart Dallas, who has been out for something like 18 months now. Him coming back at all is something that I didn't really see coming. Him being able to do so as soon as possible and start making an impact is a must. Now we need to get into the predicted starting lineup for who's going to play this weekend, and obviously in net we have to go for Ilham Meslier. Meslier is without a doubt our best goalkeeper at the moment. Darlow has had a couple of opportunities, but it's not quite paid off for him. On the contrary, this season Meslier has looked very calm, he's looked assured, and he knows what he's doing. Sticking with Meslier is an absolute must, and I've slightly changed the back four from our most recent match. I think Luke Ayling starts alongside Joe Rodon, so we've got a nice defensive presence on the right-hand side with Pascal Struijk and Sam Byram out on the left. Again, this is a backline where the only player that has really made mistakes this season so far is Luke Ayling, and that's because at the moment we don't really have options to rotate him with. In theory, we could bring in Shackleton there, but I think as a first game back, I'd want him off the bench rather than starting. In midfield, I've gone with Ethan Ampadu and Glenn Kamara. Ethan Ampadu because he is a very, very talented player. He's very consistent. And although you'll never get a 10 out of 10 out of him, he always puts in the 8s and the 9s. Glenn Kamara as well. Still a top-tier player for the Championship. And I think we're only just seeing him start to come into his element. We've only just started seeing what he can do starting matches. I've said start a lot of times, but I think Kamara will start, so we'll go with that. That means that Archie Gray is likely to be rested. Daniel Farke went into a lot of detail this weekend about how he isn't the biggest fan of the England national team setup for pushing for results right now rather than trying to get long-term development for players. So he phrased it, I think, like, why win the under-19s Euros when you can win the World Cup in a few years if you look after the players better? Archie Gray's played something like 5 matches in 15 days or something absolutely bonkers like that, and 90 minutes in all of them. So making note of that and then playing him at the weekend would be a really bad look for Daniel Farke. Maybe if he's feeling fine after the week's training, it could be a start for Archie Gray instead of Glenn Kamara, but at the moment I would be more than happy with him being rested. Up top, I don't really see too much of a change. Crescencio Somerville has been one of the best wingers in the league so far this season and is not really droppable, and he can slot into that number 10 quite nicely. Rutter and Peru, I think, will keep doing their hybrid 9-10 thing where Rutter, even though nominally the number 9, will drop all the way into our half to pick up the ball and do some creativity, and Peru will arrive late in the box. They're basically doing the same job, but Rutter runs around more. I think their average position looks about the same to me. And Dan James, I think, is a little bit undroppable at the moment. He's gotten some daft amount of assists for us this season. I'm not going to find a specific number because it could take too long. But he's got something like 5 assists for us. He's got assists for Wales. He's just very good. It's surprising considering it didn't quite pay off under Bielsa. But at the moment, Dan James is performing to a standard where I don't think he's droppable. There is an argument for Jaden Anthony or Willie Gnonto coming in, but given what I'm going to go through a little bit later, I feel like James is the better threat. And on that note, what can we expect from Norwich? I've had a little bit of a deep dive into their stats. I've watched some of their highlights. Not full matches because I do not have the time to waste watching Norwich City. But we can expect them to score plenty of goals. In their matches so far this season, they've played 11 and they've scored 21. That's almost 2 goals per game, which means that they're really, really good at putting opportunities away. They are highly clinical with top-tier finishing, but their shot creation isn't the best. They're something like 9th, 10th in the league for creating shot opportunities, which is not the best and is something that we can likely take advantage of if we're able to shut them out. We have something like the second least shot creating actions against, which means we're just better at stopping those chances from emerging in the first place. Considering they're not top tier at creating shots and we are very, very good at stopping them, I think Hilaire Meslier isn't going to be under too much of a threat at the moment. But if he is, I think John Rowe could be the problem. He is a tricky, quick winger who scored their most goals so far this season. He scored more than Pirou. He scored 6, I think, off the top of my head, and is someone that could cause a little bit of a threat. Could be an issue for Luke Ayling because he's a left winger. That's the situation in which we might consider playing maybe Archie Gray at right back if he's fit. We could do with a little bit of pace on the right-hand side of our defence. However, they do have a very leaky defence. In spite of them being 7th in the league, they've got a goal difference of 2 because they've conceded 19 in their 11 matches so far. That is not purely from all of their opponents being really good at finishing, but it's the fact that they allow the 5th most shot-creating actions in the league. That means that teams are able to create more against them and finish them at a fairly consistent average rate. It's not a case of a few weird strikers score a hell of a lot of goals against them. It's more a case of they're just consistently a little bit leaky, and I think that's definitely something we can take advantage of. They conceded 6 against Plymouth, for God's sake. I mean, we're going to get something out of their defence, I think. They're also fairly poor at defending from the counter, which is something that we can look to take advantage of, because transitional football is what we're really good at. We're good at finding those nice, neat through balls to the wingers. We're good at Dan James just pissing off at high speed, and that's why I think it's best to pick him for this, because he can get in behind their defence, and whether or not he shoots or crosses or gets more to that assist tally, it's completely fine. Like, we have the room to rotate if we need options in the second half. But I think early in the match, getting that pace from Dan James and the trickiness from Ruter and Somerville working to put chances on a plate for Pirou is a must, to be honest. One question that I did have was, do we expect to see Adam Forshaw? And personally, I don't think so. He's not played too many minutes. He's got something like 5 appearances this season and has only started once. If we do see him, I feel like it'll be off the bench because he seems to be injury-prone as ever and isn't seemingly trusted by the leadership at Norwich just yet. In terms of predictions, I think I'm going to go for a Leeds win. I think it'll be a 1-0. I think it's another clean sheet because we're very good at shutting down those chances. If we manage to be a little bit leaky and concede, that's not too much of an issue because I feel like we'll definitely get more than enough chances to shoot. If things start well and we score early, this could be an absolute hammering, but we can't be 100% sure. You never know. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like the video and subscribe. Even join the channel if you like and can afford a membership. And I will see you next time.